Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. Today's going to be a really exciting one, and I'm so excited that you're here to kind of hang out with us, watch some cool demoing with our good friend, Jesus Ramirez. Jesus, welcome to Adobe Live again, a veteran.
Hey Jacob, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Excited to be here. As you said, a veteran. We were talking about off air how I think I've been doing this for over 10 years. I don't remember. It's like 2014, 2015, the first time I did an Adobe Live. So it's definitely been a while.
So you're probably a very recognized and welcomed face. I can already see in the chat we have Young Palace saying hello, Drew saying hey Jesus, Lisa saying hey Jesus in all caps and lots of exclamation points. So I think people are very excited to have you on. I
And
know I
there's
am.
Ted.
Yeah, Ted
Ted
as
is in the
well.
chat.
Local
Man.
legend. Oh man, the
Yeah.
chat is
Jesus.
popping off today. Thank you
Andrew
guys so
Kavanaugh.
much.
Nice to see you.
So
Yeah.
anyone, if you want to let us know where you're tuning in from, that'd be awesome because we're kind of all spread out, in the Adobe
Mhm.
Live community. But I think
Yeah.
this is going to be such a fun day. We've been highlighting all the different features of Adobe and all of the different apps, but I don't want to steal your spotlight, Jesus. Do you want to kind of let people know who you are that may not know who you are and kind of what we're working on today?
Yeah. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jesús Ramirez. A lot of you probably know me from the Photoshop training channel on YouTube, where I teach Photoshop, believe it or not. um, Currently, I have about 2 million subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Help me out. I really appreciate the support. I also create TV and movie posters professionally. My business partner is Lisa Carney, who's in the chat now and who was streaming just a moment ago. I'm sure her stream was fantastic. Lisa is always great. I'll
Hmm.
share my screen
Yeah.
so that people can see some of the work that I've worked on recently. Actually, I worked on the NCIS poster here with Lisa, and which one else did I work with you, Lisa, on? These two at the bottom, I think I work with Lisa. The point
So
is that
cool.
Lisa and I work together on a lot of these projects. And um, what I like to say is that I like to everything that I teach relates to professional workflows, things that work in a professional environment.
Hmm.
So I guess that's my unique selling proposition compared to other colleagues who are not doing this type of work and are demoing. Nothing wrong with that, but the way that I teach is if it doesn't work in the real world for me, I'm not going to teach it. You know what I mean? So everything comes through that context.
Right. I mean, I think
Um,
that's super practical and super useful too, though. Like just being able to see the end of the means. Like for at least for
mhm.
me, like I have a hard time in hypotheticals. So like I would love the way that you teach, and I'm sure I've probably come across one or two of your videos to learn Photoshop as well. So.
Yeah. So yeah, so excuse me. So this is my context. Like if is it gonna look good in a professional environment? If
Hmm.
not, then I probably won't teach it.
Hmm.
And that's actually one of the important things about the primary tool that we're going to discuss today, which is the rotate object feature. It's fantastic. It looks incredible. I mean, it's pure magic,
Hmm.
but it doesn't always hold up in that professional context. And I'm just going to show you a couple techniques on how to try to get it to that level if that's what you need.
Yeah.
Um, so first things first. Before we get into all the fancy technology, like I was just at Kansas City Design Week a couple of weeks ago with Lisa Carney. We gave a presentation to a lot of younger students trying to become professional designers. And one of the questions that was most often asked is, what should we be learning? Should we be learning AI? Should we be learning Photoshop? Should we be learning a competitor?
Hmm.
And my answer is learn traditional art. Like that's
Hmm.
ultimately what matters. Like it doesn't matter how, if you know all the keyboard shortcuts in Photoshop, it doesn't matter if you know all the AI models that are out there right now. Like the most important thing will always be traditional art, in my opinion,
Hmm.
because at one point, like at the end of the day, what we do as designers is we're art directing ultimately, right? Yeah, sure, we're
Right.
creating something, but we're art directing. Like, does this look good? Does this color look good with that color? Is this framed properly? Like, we're making those creative decisions. And before we were leading those creative decisions with one of these guys, a
Yeah.
mouse
Yeah.
and a keyboard shortcut. Sometimes now we do that with a prompt, and
Hmm.
eventually I'm sure we'll be able to talk to Photoshop or whatever and say, move this left, and it'll move left. But the point is that it's all that is coming from our head. And we still need that background so that we can make the proper creative choices.
Right.
So even though AI can generate something that's completely realistic, it's ultimately up to you whether that output is good enough for you, your client, or the project that you're working on. So
Right. Those
I always say,
foundations are so
exactly.
important.
Exactly. So like nothing will beat traditional art in terms of what you should learn. And then of course you build on top of that, right? I'm
Right.
not saying that that's all you need to do, but you need that strong foundation before you get anywhere else.
Hmm.
So why are we looking at these crazy looking cubes? Well, I always like to talk about how perspective is really important in compositing because I feel that that's a lot of something a lot of people don't talk about. People talk about a lot about masking.
Hmm.
They talk a lot about, you know, color and all these things that are very important, but they rarely talk about how perspective plays a part in things.
And it plays
So
a
in
huge
this,
part in everything, honestly, as an illustrator or a compositor or a videographer. It's super important.
extremely important. So in this case, we have a scene, right? And I always like to tell people, just think of every scene. It doesn't matter what, to think about it like this: a
Hmm.
ground plane and the sky. Simple as that. Ground plane and sky, everything. Like no matter
Hmm.
what the background is, ground plane and sky. And then where those meet, where the ground plane meets the sky, that is the horizon line. And that is very important because everything will now relate to that.
Hmm.
Because if I have set up my sky in my ground plane, I have also set up a horizon line. So
Right.
that means that everything needs to align to that in order for it to look realistic, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, if you are creating, uh, following the parallel converging lines on any object in your scene, they will end up on that horizon line. See how they cross there?
Hmm.
If I follow the parallel converging lines, they all end up on my horizon line. They might have a different vanishing point, but the horizon line will be the same for all those objects, right?
Hmm.
And I can keep drawing these lines, tracing these lines on all these objects, and they all end up on the horizon line, right? So that is important to understand because whenever we bring in a separate element and we just randomly place it on screen, well, it no longer looks proper, right? It
Right.
looks like something is off. This doesn't look good. Why? Like you may not know why. You may not know nothing about art, but you've been alive for God knows how many years. So your eye knows that that is not right,
Yeah.
you know? And whenever you're looking at one of your composites and you have that feeling, 9 times out of 10 is perspective. Like it
Right.
almost always is.
Yes.
So how would we fix this? Well, in the olden days, you know, you would need to draw these parallel convergent lines, kind of figure out where the horizon
Uh,
line is. Well, it's like way above it. All right, cool. So it's above there. I can kind of eyeball it now that I know where it is, and I can then bring it down into position. And the horizon line is like now it's in proper
yeah.
perspective, right? So now it looks like it's sitting there. It
Well,
doesn't feel off anymore.
the art classes I've had to take of drawing like 900 boxes on a like notebook sheet of paper, painful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What Photoshop is doing now is now we have technology that it can rotate objects.
Hmm.
So now, you know what? This is probably like the word. I wasn't planning on showing rotate object with this particular layer, but people that know me like know that I like to fly by the edge of my seat. So I don't even know if it's gonna work because this demo is usually just to show what perspective is, but then I have shadows and stuff around
Hmm.
that box. So I don't know if it'll work. By the way, when
Hey,
you make a selection, you can press Control Shift I to invert the selection, and then I'm deleting everything outside of the selection. So now,
nice.
um, if I press Control T, Command T to transform and choose Rotate Object, hopefully it'll recognize that it's a
Yeah.
cube,
I mean, this
and
is
I'll
a
be able to.
very new, tool as well, right? So like
Mhm.
obviously there's different things that will, be worked through. Like we were stress testing it here. Like that's the
Yeah.
fun of it.
Right. So it
Nice.
recognized that it's a cube, right? So if I
Yeah.
really wanted a cube up here where I had it earlier, what I have to do now is now make sure that these parallel converging lines end up at that vanishing point, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I can rotate it or whatever. The rotation left and right really doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's just the up and down. And
Right.
I'm obviously eyeballing it here. I don't have the shadows there any longer, but that right there looks more like it's in perspective than what we had originally. So this is
Hmm.
what this tool is allowing us to do to change the perspective of an object to try to match it to the background.
Right.
So um, it just eliminates that process of us having to distort layers. And sometimes you can't even distort a layer enough, right? You can just
Right.
cheat as much as you can, either by hiding the feet, by, that's a very common trick in compositing, that the feet will be, hidden just so you can kind of fool the eye a little bit.
Or the
But
hands.
yeah, whatever you need to do in order for something to look good. But the point is, with this technology, it makes it easier for us to quote unquote cheat. What I tell people is, what I'm doing is I'm just creating the illusion of reality in my composites.
Right.
That's it, creating the illusion of reality. And if I get close enough, then the little mistakes won't even matter. People won't notice them.
That's such a great
But
point.
also, something else I like to tell people is perspective is important, as I mentioned earlier, but I rarely draw those parallel converging lines. I frankly eyeball everything.
Mm-hmm.
And let me show you like a super quick way of eyeballing things, right? So we have this car. And if I wanted to place this car in perspective, like where does it go? Does it go up here? Does it go here? Low, like how low or how high does it need to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't even think about the car. Like forget the car. What I think about is thinking about a cube. Think of this car as a cube, right? Just as a cube. So if the car was a cube, the car has a top and sides and a bottom, of course, right? So the trick is we have a defined horizontal line, or like a, oh my God, why am I blanking here? A horizon line, excuse me. We have a defined horizon line. Anything that is above the horizon line, you will be able to see the bottom of. So you can see the bottom of these cubes. See that? Anything that is below the horizon line, you'll be able to see the top, right?
Right.
And then if it's right on it, you can't see the top or bottom.
Looking
right?
like right at the middle, which kind of makes sense too, like sky, ground,
Sure,
and then
sure,
center line. Yeah.
Exactly. So then if you have a car, well, then the top of the car is up here. It's not really the hood. It's like right up here, right? The roof of the car, right up here. How much of the roof can we see?
None.
Just a tiny little,
yeah,
a little
bit.
A little bit. So then if we think of the cubes, well, where would the car go? The car wouldn't be this far down because we can see a lot of the top. It'll probably be higher than here because we can see even less.
Like in here. Between those two,
right?
The second and the third.
Right. So then as soon as you put the car right about here, look how much more realistic that looks.
It feels so right now. It looks correct.
Right. Yeah, it looks correct. And we didn't do anything. All we just did is drag a layer down.
Right.
So I like to talk about all of this because even though rotate object is so powerful, we still need to know this.
Right.
And that goes back to my previous point that you can have all the technology in the world, but if you don't have the basics down, then it doesn't matter because you can't produce a good output. So anyway, enough of the art class. People are here for the fun stuff, which is the rotate object.
I love the art class though. This is like one of my favorite things, and I'm sure a lot of people that may not be designers by trade, or also may just use Photoshop for fun, or just tuning in because they like you, probably were not expecting to learn some perspective. Like that's stuff that takes a while to learn, man. It's lots of practice.
Absolutely. So what can a rotate object do? Well, you kind of side a little bit with the cube, but let me just now talk specifically about rotate object. So everybody probably knows, I hope, that by now Photoshop has this amazing feature called remove background.
Yes.
When you click on that, Photoshop uses AI to essentially locate the object and make a selection and then mask it out. By the way, when I say AI, it's not using generative AI, so it's not using up your credits.
Right.
This tool does not use credits. The way that I tell people to think about the difference between AI that takes credits away from your account and AI that doesn't is, if it's generating a pixel, it's probably using up your credits. If it's generating anything but a pixel, it's probably not.
Right.
Another way of thinking about it is, this is the old machine learning Adobe Sensei that they use.
Yes. Yes.
So similar idea. The point is that we now have the subject that's been completely masked out, which is fantastic. You can then press Control-T, Command-T to transform, and we get this rotate object feature that allows you to rotate the subject. It works great with buildings, animals, people, with all sorts of things, right? So let's see how this works.
We're putting it to the test.
Putting it to the test. That's right. So we have essentially three new icons. We have this one that allows you to tilt up and down, and this one that allows you to go left and right. And then we have
It generated his legs in the back. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's kneeling. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, see, but this is what I mean. This is what I was talking about earlier. It doesn't always generate what you need, so you need to learn
Right.
how to fix it so it works for your purposes.
Exactly.
And then the angle perspective here. Also interesting. On the properties panel, you have those same features, but then you also have this
Mm,
rotation control that is not one of the handles here.
right.
Um, which I kind of wish they had that handle there. I don't know why it's not a handle.
It's like he's dancing.
And then of course you have the transformation handles, the traditional transformation handles here in the corner handles. And if you hover just outside of it, like a regular layer, you can also rotate
Hmm.
as well. So I guess that's kind of why it's not really there, because you're rotating it.
Fair
But if you
enough.
notice, see, like these are the weird things that I always notice. So when I rotate from here, it also changes this value. See how it's negative
Right.
7 here on top? And then when I rotate from there, it changes not just the rotation here. So it's still not doing the same thing.
Right.
So
Something different.
anyway, something different. So of course you can just rotate and play. Oh, there he is. See, like he's kneeling. That's not exactly what I wanted, but there he is. That's what he's doing. So he's kneeling. All right.
Hmm.
And the reason it looks so bad is because it's in preview mode. Once you
Mm.
accept the changes by pressing enter on Windows, return on the Mac,
This is when the magic
it'll
happens.
it's when the magic happens. And it's gonna look good, but as you'll see, it's not gonna look great.
Mm.
And I think that's people's expectations, I think, are a little too high
Sure.
because they want I mean, this is good. It's not bad, right? If you
Right.
compare it to the original, like
It's pretty
that's
impressive,
it's
honestly.
pretty good, right? But if you zoom in, you will notice,
Little
some imperfect.
uncanny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Like that what do they call it? The valley, the
Yeah, uncanny
uncanny
valley.
valley.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, little uncanny valley, right? So we'll learn how to fix that. I just wanted to show how the tool works.
Yeah.
So why don't we place them into a background so that we can talk a little bit about perspective and a little bit about how to fix these issues that may come up when we're doing rotate object. And I'm looking for a specific background that I have here. I guess I should have pulled it up before the
Yeah.
stream started, but I know I have a uh, a rooftop, and I wanted to place them in a rooftop.
Yeah.
Maybe
While
I
you're
should search.
looking
Yeah,
for
go
that, I
ahead,
might
please.
call out some comments real quick because, of course, you
Yeah.
have Lisa supporting you over on YouTube saying, "Hey, Seuss does such an amazing job showing this perspective thing." A lot of people enjoying perspective. Reverb Mike, someone who is a regular on Adobe Live. If you watch Adobe Live, you know Reverb Mike said, "Now we've learned new perspective on perspective," which is very funny. So,
Absolutely. I'm just gonna. I don't know if you guys know this trick. When you select the layer, you can hover over into another tab. It switches
oh,
over, and then boom, it drops it in.
I did
So
not
I'm
know
just.
that.
Oh well, then there you go. You can just select the layer, go into a tab, it'll switch over, and then you can drop it.
That's really
But I
cool.
don't want to do that in that case.
Right.
Anyway, so I want to place this subject into this background, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what I wanted. So, um, obviously, I want to start with rotate object, right?
Mhm.
So, Control T to transform, click on rotate object, and it's gonna do its thing.
The computer is thinking.
It is
find
thinking indeed.
I find this tool so fascinating because I feel like the practical uses of it and just the general, I guess, applications feel pretty limitless. Like it's
Hmm.
almost too free, whereas like there's too many options. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. And that's the thing. We have some these are all tools, right? So like we have so
Hmm.
many ways of doing so many things, and like the real magic comes when you put those tools together.
So in the past, like for instance, if you were working on a movie poster and maybe say, so, or a show poster, and a character or a person is like not in the right perspective, what would you do in that situation? Or were you just kind
Uh,
of out of luck? Like,
yeah. So like there was no way I'd be able to place that guy, and
mm,
it's just impossible, right? At
yeah,
that point, there's some times where like you can kind of cheat a little bit, as I mentioned earlier.
mm-hmm,
And other times where screw it, it doesn't work, still goes.
man,
Like it is what it is. I made the background just a little smaller because I thought it was too big.
mm-hmm.
Um, Here's another trick. If you go into image, trim, you can trim the transparent pixels, and then everything that's transparent goes away.
Oh,
You know? And in this case, I'm making creative decisions here, right? Like, why do I really want to keep? So I'm gonna make this into like a widescreen image, and then we can either work on the legs or not. You know what? Let's make this difficult on us. Let's work on it. You know what?
Sweet.
Screw this. We're gonna. There you go.
We're
People
in.
came here to. Yeah, we're in. So when I'm working on a movie poster, this is something we have to do all the time, like extend backgrounds all the
Hmm.
time. Um, if I am using generator fill, because I don't always use generator fill for that because of the resolution issues
Sure.
but if I am using generator fill, what I would use is an Adobe model and use the Firefly fill and expand. That works better for the generator fill workflow. The
Hmm.
partner models, in my opinion, work better when you are trying to generate something where the context of the image doesn't matter. What I mean
Gotcha.
by that is when I make a selection, the Adobe models will understand the context of the entire image. When I make a selection and use a partner models, the partner models only see what's in the selection. They don't see what's outside of it.
Right.
So for those reasons, the Firefly fill and expand works fantastic when expanding images. I mean, that's what it was designed to do.
Yeah, and
And you get three
that's
variations as opposed to one.
yeah, and I'm assuming specifically that is just through trial and error. You've learned that like going through many different generations, many different models, that these specific ones work in the context of these situations, and these work in the other context of other situations.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of the times, like, like when you read HelpX, for example, I recommend
Hmm.
everybody to read HelpX. It tells you, specifically. So trial and error, reading, all that stuff.
Right.
To be quite frank with you, I don't like any of these generations, but we'll work with them and then we'll see what we really need to fix.
Sure.
So then we have our character here, and now he's too tall, too high up because that's not where I wanted him. But um, so we talked about perspective, right? Like,
Hmm.
so we have our horizon line. Imagine there was no buildings and nothing else, just the ground and the sky. Where does it meet? Right about here, right?
Right.
So you also have to think about like his perspective. We can control it, right? Now we can control it with the rotation, so I don't have to like worry too much about it.
Hmm.
But I also have to think of like if this was real photo, where was the camera when or how high from the ground and where was the camera tilting when this photo was
Hmm.
shot? And I have to think about how I'm going to place him in that context. So in this case, I think that having the horizon line that high up probably doesn't make any sense because I can see a little bit of the bottom of his chin here.
Hmm.
So then that means that the horizon line is probably a little lower. It's not so high up. And like these are the all the little things that you learn with experience, right? So
Right.
um
Just over time.
yeah, so then I probably would bring the horizon line down just a little more. And to my eye, that looks a little bit better.
Yes. It's also very
And
interesting to use the technique of, like, I don't know, as an illustrator, my mind doesn't immediately go to change the background, not the character. But
uh-huh.
I mean, it makes sense in this context, right? Like you're wanting to do not less work per se, but like the path of least resistance. It's like manipulate the things around it to work versus the object itself.
Well, think about it. Think about the world that I live in, right?
Right.
The talent is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not going to distort this guy just so that I can make the background work. If anything, I'm going to
Yeah.
distort the background so that he because he's the important thing in what I do.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. So here we go. So now we'll call that background good, right? So when you zoom in, you'll notice that we have a lot of issues. This doesn't look too realistic. It looks pixelated. There's no way I could use that, but
Mm-hmm.
we can still make this work. A
Mm-hmm.
couple things. Number one is I just want to make sure that anything I do, I get rid of these white lines,
Right.
like the white fringing, right? So before I do anything else, um, what I'm going to do, there's a couple things I could do at this point. I can convert this into a smart object and just say, screw it. I can rasterize it because I'm happy with the results. It's not going to be my final output, so it really doesn't matter what I do. So for the context of this class, I'm just going to rasterize it. Actually, what I'll do, no, I won't do that. I'm going to keep it editable just in case I want to show something else.
Sure thing.
I probably, in a real world, I probably would rasterize it because I know I'm not going to change it. It is what it is.
Right.
But here's the trick. You can just press Control. It loads, and that's command in the Mac, and it loads your layer as a selection, and then you can apply a layer mask. And you're like, well, that didn't do anything. Right, that didn't do anything. But I can, with the layer mask active, I can now go into Filter, Other, and choose Minimum. And what the minimum filter does with a mask is it
Oh.
contracts it. So select roundness. So the difference between square and roundness is square only gives you whole numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hmm.
And roundness allows you to use decimal points, so 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. So you can drag this, oops, to contract the layer mask. See that?
Wow. So it's kind of like feathering. Is that
Oh
a
no,
term?
feathering blurs the mask, right? So
I
this is
see. I see.
contracting a
Okay.
mask.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So
Gotcha.
so maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll do what 2.7. Yeah, you can see the difference. You can see his
Yeah.
arm. See his arm right here? 2.7. Yeah, that gets rid of the
Removes
white
that
outline.
white.
See
Yeah.
that?
He doesn't look highlighted anymore.
Yeah, there you go. See that? And it kept the
Nice.
contours and it's, pretty good.
Hmm.
Now, another thing I might want to do at this point is add his legs. And I would probably use, I would try the Adobe models, right?
Hmm.
We'll see what happens here. Generator fill, I'll use Firefly, and I would just type in the word gene legs
Yeah.
and try to help the model a little bit. Sometimes it works great leaving the prompt blank. Other times you kind of have to help it. It just really depends.
Give it a
In
little
this case,
handhold.
yeah, in this case, there we go. There he is.
Nice.
So, which legs do I like the best in this context? And frankly, the first ones are the best, but I'm not sure if I love them. When this happens to me, I keep generating. If I
Hmm.
happen to like the left leg over the right leg, then I'll just regenerate the right leg again. So, just trial and error. This is probably better.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll keep this one. We'll work with this, right? So there we go. So now we have the legs. So we have body, we have legs, and I can put that into a group,
Hmm.
right? If you press Control J on Windows, Command J on the Mac, it duplicates that group and then Control E merges that group, right? So now I
Oh.
have it all in one layer. Then I'm gonna do remove background because I don't want the ground to be there.
Right.
And actually, in this case, did it work? Let me see. Yep, it worked.
Nice.
And what I'm gonna do now is simply disable the other group that has, and you always want to name your layers. Here's a tip. When you're naming layers, if you press the tab key, it goes to the next one. See that?
Man,
Tab.
you've got all the
So
tips. Like all the tips. I feel like I'm learning so much in the. I mean, you're the Photoshop tutorial guy, so it makes sense. But like, I don't know any of these shortcuts either. It's
well, there you
nuts.
go. That's a new one. I'll try to throw in as many as I can.
Yeah,
Anyway,
those are useful.
so then now we have this guy, right here in this layer, and we have the group in case we need to go back and make
Mm.
changes, right? I didn't lose that. But the reason that I put them in this layer is so I can click on Harmonize. And what
Mm.
the Harmonize button allows you to do is match, it'll take your subject and match the background's lighting, color, apply shadows, reflections if it needs some, and we'll get a very, hopefully, realistic result. Notice that the shadows in the background, there's long shadows from the buildings behind them.
Hmm.
So hopefully those shadows will be applied to the result. We'll see.
While this is loading, I have a question for you in the chat coming
Yes.
from Nate, who says he loves your channel. He
Thank you,
asks,
Nate.
when would you use the partner models for Adobe? I think we talked about it a little bit, but
Oh, well, you're gonna get to see soon. You'll use them whenever
oh,
you want to do, usually maintain character consistency.
gotcha.
That is usually that or generating something completely from scratch.
Hmm.
And I use them all the time, and you're gonna get to see that in a moment. And here we go.
Wow.
Um, there we go. Pick the one. I think I like the first. To be quite frank with you, the lighting is more realistic here,
Yeah.
but I like this one better because we see more of his face.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It looks
making,
great.
yeah, making decisions. Yeah, this one's probably where we're gonna go. There we go.
Hmm.
Great. So now we have this result, right? And we don't need this layer anymore. We can get rid of it if we want, but I'll
Hmm.
just hide it for now. But then when you look at this, you're like, oh man, no, this is not gonna work. Like how can I do this? Like I can't turn this into my client. And of course you can. But this is where the partner models come in, Nate.
Mm.
And I wanna generate something that's gonna maintain character consistency. So I can hold shift and create a perfect square. Why am I creating a perfect square? If you create a selection that is not a perfect square and generate something with the partner models, it is likely that your generation will not match the background fully. It's going to be a shift. It's just the way things work at the moment. If you create a perfect square, you're more likely to make it match. And notice I'm using the word likely because with
Right.
generating stuff, you're likely to get something, not
Mm-hmm.
100%, you know? So creating a perfect square selection makes it likely for you to generate something that'll just fit right on top rather than being a little bit too wide or too tall or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go into generator fill and I'm going to type in a prompt. And the prompt that I'm going to type in, actually, before I do that, I should select the model. I'm going to go into the partner model tab. And I like using Gemini 3.1 for this.
Mm-hmm.
Flux can work in some cases. I actually prefer Flux if we're talking about clothing and other things, and we'll use it in a moment. But
Mm-hmm.
for faces, generally speaking, Gemini 3.1 seems to work better. So we'll do that first. And what
Gotcha.
I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the model to let me just, oh, for some reason, it's not letting me type. Is it my
Hmm.
keyboard or is it, nope, my keyboard's working up here. That's,
Oh,
oh,
there
there
we
we
go.
go. Now it's working. Yeah, there we go. So
Just a
I'm
little
just going to tell
hiccup.
the model, yeah, to make this face more realistic, add um, skin texture, detail to his facial hair, and light blemishes because you know what? I may even have to retouch them later, but I want to make it more realistic and I'll
Right.
worry about, like, does he have a pimple or something later? I just want him to look real. Light blemishes, um, and flyaway hair. Because if you notice his hair when I zoomed in
Right.
earlier was really, really sharp. It doesn't look real. So I want flyaway hair.
It's kind of
And
windy, you know?
yeah, yeah, he's on a roof, oh, not a rooftop, but I imagine it's windy there. I don't even know
Yeah.
what city that is. Does anyone know?
I don't either. My silly brain wants to say New York. It might be Chicago. Is it the bean? No, it's a globe.
No, I don't know.
I don't either.
I feel bad not knowing.
Also, I have a
Yeah,
question in the chat that might need
yeah.
some clarification just because I'm not entirely sure what they're asking, but they said, I've never heard of that till now. Why? I think they're referring to maybe
Oops.
the specific, maybe a selection, but if pearly cream cheese, if you could clarify on what you meant by you've never heard, that might help. I also want to give a bit of a time check. We're a little over halfway. We've got about 23-ish minutes, but
Hmm.
we're crushing so far. So I'll let you get back to
Yeah. So I made a little boo boo, but I'm glad it
it.
happened because it'll help illustrate something.
Hmm.
Layer order matters. See where my layer was generated? It was generated beneath the gentleman I selected, so
I
it didn't know what
see.
to generate. You know, so it
Hmm.
just generated a random dude. You know.
Hmm.
So what I really needed to do, and I'm going to copy the prompt so I don't have to do that and type it up again. What I really needed to do is make that selection.
Gotcha.
Well, I mean the selection was proper, but the selected layer should have been this one,
Right.
not the layer below.
Right.
So stacking order matters. Select where you create your selection matters. The layer that's active matters is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
So hopefully this next time around it works. Sometimes I may have to tell the model to keep pose, perspective, all of that. I'm hoping that
Hmm.
I don't have to in this case, and I should have done it. So let me do that again. Keep angle, pose. Oops. Keep angle, uh, perspective, and I'll try one more time.
But already
Yeah, and so
looking at the details of it, it did improve it immensely.
right.
Like,
And I mean, ultimately, I could probably scale that and composite it in, right? But I don't want to
right.
take the time if I could regenerate one more time. But that's the
Absolutely.
point that I'm generating to make it more realistic because the original, there we go. See, there we go. This is what I
Nice.
want. See? So now when I zoom in, compare the difference.
Wow. Wow.
See that? So now
Wow.
this is something I can work with, right? This is
Hmm.
something I could potentially show my client.
That's crazy.
And and something I'll do as well is since I know I'm going to keep it, I'm just going to rasterize it, and then I'm just going
Hmm.
to do a remove background because
Hmm.
remember this image has a background. I don't want that background, that
Right.
image. I want the background that belongs to my composite. But yeah, so now, I just made something a lot more realistic. And as I said
That's
earlier, if I
crazy.
need to go in and fix his blemishes, I will.
Yeah. I mean, in the chat, people are already like super pressing. So good. Wow. Very impressed. There's
Yeah.
one question that I think
Yes.
might be useful for this case study as well, from that voodoo guy. Can
Uh-huh.
the AI generated assets for the adjustments you're doing be turned into a client? Which I think so. I would imagine
Well,
so, but
there's so many ways of answering that question. So the one thing that I will say is this.
mm,
Um, there's like two sides to it, right? Like what your client wants and then like what the law says.
right,
So some clients may say, no, I want no AI generated stuff, or I only want AI generated stuff that is safe for commercial use. So the, there's a side of that the client gets to decide, and that's up to them.
right,
The other side is when you're making a generation, if you use Adobe models, notice here that says that they're all commercially safe.
right,
So the answer to your question is yes. Well, what about the models created by others? Well, then now you have to go and read their legal terms, and they're all
right,
specific. So like what applies to Google will probably not apply to Flux. There
right.
might be a difference. So in that context, I would say just go and read the specific models that you're interested in. But to play it safe, Adobe models always are.
Research is very important. Make sure you do your
Yes,
research.
absolutely. And I'm going to do the same thing now. So I'm just going to make a larger selection like so. And what I'm going to do now is paste in another prompt. This time, so actually something that I've been doing recently is I've been creating my own Photoshop plugins because, now we can with vibe coding and the plugin I'm about to show you hopefully will be in the Adobe Marketplace store soon. It'll be free, 100% free. You won't have to pay a penny. And I call it the Prompt Vault, and it's just where I save all my prompts.
Oh,
So I have a prompt here and you can add your own prompt and you can label it with colors and add notes and tags and everything. And I have this prompt here that I can just click on and it copies it to my clipboard and I can just paste it. So I don't have to have a separate work document or Word document or anything else external. It's all here and I can always save my prompts. So um, actually, I was hoping that the plugin would be live for today's stream. And then I got an email from Adobe saying that there was an issue with
oh,
like the way that you word certain things because my company name is Photoshop Training Channel, but
mm,
apparently I can't use that word in Photoshop.
fair.
And anyway, so I had to I guess it's gonna be called like my name now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that it's not available yet, but keep an eye out for it in the Adobe Marketplace store. I'll talk about it in my YouTube channel. It's gonna be completely free. You don't have to pay anything. Anyway, so I have this prompt here that I saved that basically says to add focus and detail to the image, and then keep the same pose and scale, like everything I did in the previous prompt. And this time, just to show you, I'm going to change the partner model from Gemini to FluxTube Pro, and I'm going to generate.
So we're getting to see
Again, I
all
used
the models today.
yeah. Again, I used a perfect square selection, so we'll
Hmm.
see the result.
Also, Pearly Cream Cheese did clarify that they are wondering why that you use the perfect square selection. They've never heard of that technique before. I know that you kind of explained that, it's so it keeps its perspective and keeps its size, but like, is there any other
Well,
techniques as to why to do it this way?
the only reason you would want to do it is if the generation that you're creating needs to align with the background perfectly.
Mm,
Even sometimes if it's I'll try to do it again and you'll see what I mean. But before we get to it, notice the difference now with Flux. See the difference? And
hmm.
look at his hands. Look at his hands. See that?
Yeah.
Look at the texture on his shirt.
Wow.
See that?
I'm
Look
like,
at his watch.
I'm so close to my screen right now. The reflection of the sky as
See?
well. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I can use this now for a client,
Hmm.
right? And again, same thing. Rasterize the layer and I'll delete the layer mask and I'll remove the background just because I
Hmm.
only want his body, right? I don't want the background affected by that. But notice how by using that rotate object feature, I didn't. Oh, and by the way, the lighting here kind of doesn't match, and maybe that's even a better result. I don't know. But
Mm,
the point is that I kind of have to composite here, right? This is a
right.
compositing job at the end of the day. So what pieces work better for my image? And I may even do a flux sample to see if flux gives me a better result for his head, like I don't know. And
Hmm.
then use the one that works best for the project at hand. And yeah. Anyway, just make it work.
I mean, this
Essentially.
is so impressive, and also the way how quickly you composited that. So we're having some questions in the chat, like just some general ideas of like where we're generating on these specific layers. Some people seemed concerned that you're on that top layer. It looked like it didn't really matter because we're still getting
As long
those
as you're on the
results.
topmost layer, yeah. As long as you're on the topmost layer.
Gotcha.
To be very, very specific, I hate
Mm-hmm.
saying things that are so general. As long as you're on the layers that matter for the generation. In this case, as long as I'm above the person.
Right.
So I'll do that one more time, and I'm just gonna go faster. Normally, what I would do is do the jeans and then do the shoes separately, but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna generate using the same prompt, the same model, and hopefully we get jeans that we can use, right? And shoes that we can use.
This is so
So
impressive. Like truly.
And going back to the point I was trying to make earlier that I didn't finish, people, when they first see rotate object, they might go, oh, well, it rotated, but no, I can't use this because this looks, terrible.
Right.
Well, yeah, but Photoshop has never been perfect. Like
No.
nothing has ever been like, and I find it ironic that people complain about how like AI is doing everything for you, but then if it doesn't do it perfect, I don't want to do any work. It's like, wait a minute, I thought you wanted to do the work. Like, what
Yeah.
happened here? You know? So, so yeah, so it goes back to the other thing we were talking about earlier. These are tools. Okay, oh, see, I made a mistake here. I should have been more. I was talking and I didn't think. So what I needed to do here is either disable the layer with the shirt or mask out the pants.
I see.
And here's another trick for you guys. Nobody knows this keyboard shortcut. You know how the selection is now gone and I made other moves. If you want to activate your last active selection,
Mm-hmm.
no, so it doesn't matter if you do other things. Like it's not an undo. To deselect is Control D, which is what this button allows you to do. Deselect. To bring back the last selection active, no matter when it happened, Control Shift D, and it brings up the last selection.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to generate that layer one more time because I needed to have the pants disabled, and then I'm going to composite those in.
Mm-hmm. Man, this is I mean, we can already tell from the chat that people are very much enjoying it, saying this session is beyond a typical tutorial. This is impressive. My mind is blown. Thank you, Jesus, for making the bite sizable and easy to understand. Like, I mean, I feel the same because I will be transparent that I went into this with minimal knowledge of Photoshop. I'm not a Photoshop user, but now I feel like I can just hop into it and start playing around, like you made it very easy to understand, and like it all makes sense, right? Like these are all just adding on to the tools of Photoshop that we already know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just making it better and better and better.
Absolutely. So that's my generation. I'm going to remove the background, and then I'm just going to enable the layer below here
Mm-hmm.
with the hands. And notice that the hands don't quite line up, but that's okay. I'm just going to, unfortunately, not every generation is going to be the same as the one before. So you kind of have to just pick and choose, right? Like, all right, I'm going to keep the hands from this generation. The shirt didn't quite work here, so you just kind of, it's a compositing job, as I said at the end of the day.
Right.
So there we go. But I'm just going to put all this into one group. So this is my result. Wait a minute. That one needed to be here. Okay. So this is the result. Look at the difference. I mean, look at the
Night and
jeans.
day.
Look at the jeans. Look at the shoes. See that?
Wow. Literally night and day difference.
Yep. And that all happened because we rotated this is the result, the original rotated image result. So when somebody looks at that, they will tell you, oh no, rotated image is terrible. Like it's horrible. I was like, well, yeah, maybe, but then we have other tools that makes it look like this,
It's unbelievable. It looks like you took the photo. It looks like you just walked down there and took the photo yourself.
Yeah. And if you get, everything right, like shadows and all of that, even though the shadows are not perfect here, that shadow's not realistic, doesn't matter. The overall image looks fairly convincing, right? I could
Absolutely.
use this in a professional workflow, and if you zoom in, maybe you'll catch mistakes, but at the end of the day, this could work, you
I
know?
mean, and even if you bring up the mistakes as an argument towards like compositing, especially when it comes to like film and poster work and things like that, like let's be real, prior to these things existing, people still made those mistakes. You know what I mean? You could
Right.
still zoom in on some posters and see, oh, this lighting is very weird on this, or maybe a clipping mask was turned off or turned on. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's very normal, at least I feel like.
Right. And you know what the funny thing is? We're not even done because what I could do now
Oh.
at this point is right click, convert it into a smart object, right?
Hmm.
Here's my smart object. Now, this is just let me just turn off all the other layers. Now, this is just a regular layer, right? It's just a
Hmm.
guy. So I can go into filter, camera raw filter, and I can now start working on this like I would have with a traditional layer, right? Maybe
Oh, yeah,
adjusting the
yeah.
contrast, highlights, like maybe making those highlights brighter. Remember, we have the masking panel here. With the masking panel, it should find him as a person. See how it says people here?
Hmm.
There you go. There he is. So I can click on him. And you know what? Maybe his eyes are a little too dark. I can work on the eyes. I can work on the hair. I can look on the skin. Like I can do all these different things. Maybe I can select facial hair and hair. I'll create that mask. And now under effects, I can increase the texture of his hair and his facial hair, just to make it pop, create the
It's
illusion of more detail.
crazy.
Um, do the same thing here with select people. Once again, this time I'm going to select his clothing, right? And I can click on create
Hmm.
and I can do the same thing. I can add more texture and clarity, not the haze, clarity
Hmm.
and detail, which is sharpness here to his clothing. And, I'm being heavy handed, of course. So it's obvious for the tutorial, or for the stream, but I can make all these different adjustments, right? I'll press OK, and I even given him more sharpness and more detail. See that?
Yeah,
This is the difference.
man.
And again, you can use this is a traditional compositing job now. For those of you that know dodging and burning, I can fill a layer with 50% gray. Press OK. Do a clipping mask, Control Alt G on Windows, Command Option G on the Mac. And if you change this to the overlay blending mode and use the dodge and burn tools, burn makes things darker. So maybe I want to, oops, I'm way too heavy handed there. Let me undo that and bring the strength down a little bit and probably do soft light in this case. The point is, I can come here and
So
I can
crazy.
start, doing my traditional Photoshop techniques here. Oops, wrong tool. But I think you get the idea, right? Like burn
Yeah.
tool here, maybe make the bottom part a bit darker, darker here, darker there, and then switch over to the dodge tool and make these areas brighter, and now I've, changed the lighting as well.
I mean, it's
So
so impressive and it's so fast. Like you, I know that to you, this is probably like the norm, but like I'm seeing in the chat, people are just like, this is just so packed with information, and it is. Like I'm
yeah.
learning so much.
So I see in the chat that people are asking about my plugin. Like I said, I
Yes.
wish it was out, and that was my intention, but Adobe didn't approve it, so I had it resubmitted because of like naming conventions. Because as you can see here,
Mm.
my company name is Photoshop Training Channel, but apparently you can't have the word Photoshop in a plugin, so it got denied. Um, yeah, but the point is that hopefully it'll be in the Adobe store soon. Just it's called Prompt Vault. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, Photoshop Training Channel, I'll definitely talk about it then when it's released. And the way it
Mm.
works is, as I said, it's just a way of saving all your prompts, and you can pin the ones you like and the ones that
Yeah.
delete, whatever. So it's
So
just there to help me save my prompts.
so useful for prompting and so useful in general. And Adobe, come on, chop chop. Let's get this moving. We want to use this. People want it. We have the case study
Yeah,
here. People want to use it.
yeah. Give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got about 5 minutes left, Jesus. I don't know if
Great.
you want to take us through either what we did today or if you have any like final demo that you want to try to squeeze in. We've got some time. So
I don't know if I can squeeze it in, but I actually like how this turned out, so I'm gonna save it so I can use it for another demo. By
yeah.
the way, I just came up with this before we started. I hadn't practiced that. Um, I just liked it
Showing your
so much.
skill.
Yeah. So this is another one that I like. So if I wanted to place uh, this car in this image here, and I'm going to go super fast. I'm probably not going to explain every single step,
This is the speed
but
round.
yeah. So rotate object, right? And
Mm-hmm.
oh, by the way, notice that I didn't remove the background. Photoshop should remove the background from this car
Mm-hmm.
automatically and then do the rotation thing. There we go. Rotate. So there's my
Nice.
car. Yeah, but
Wow.
you know what the problem is? It looks great. Yes, I know, but we have an issue. That's not what the car looks like in the front.
Yeah, that's
Because
fair.
how would it know, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how would it know what the car looks like in the front? So what I can do is just try to get this into position as best as I can, right? Like try
Mm-hmm.
to get it to match my scene. There we go.
Using that
Like
perspective technique, the blocks that we
exactly.
learned in the
Exactly,
beginning.
because we're talking about the bottom of the car and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. This is what it's gonna look okay, but that's not what the car looks like in the front, right?
Right.
So same issue as before, and I didn't do that good job on the perspective. We're going fast here, but I'll do exactly the same thing, right? I'll create a harmonized layer, try to get the lighting, try to get everything right, but then I can use this as a reference image
Mm.
now, for one of the partner models, and with the partner model, hopefully I can make this work.
And then it'll
So
recognize. Yeah.
yeah. So in just a second, there you go. So we'll see which lighting is the best. We'll just call this lighting the best just for the sake of time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna save this image, and oh my God, you guys can see my messy desktop. So this is gonna be my reference image, right? Like I can't use this because this is not what the car looks like, but I can press the home button and we have the very new Firefly workspace. From the
Oh.
Firefly workspace, you can go into your device and let me see, where the heck is that car? There, oh, that's not the car. Oh man, you can see all my family photos here and some of the work that I've done.
It's
Oh, there
hiding
it is,
somewhere.
car.
There it is.
There it is, car. So actually, I'm gonna go back here, and the reason that I'm going back is because I'm gonna go into my little prompt vault thing, and I already have
Hey.
a prompt ready to go. See, and then I can go back into the Firefly workspace. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to find the photo again, but I know where it is now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Gemini 3.1 Nano Banana and I'm going to tell it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1953 Dodge Coronet with four doors. So I'm describing the car, right?
Right.
But this is something really cool. What if the model doesn't know what kind of car that is, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what if it doesn't? Well, enable this. Use Google search so it
Great.
figures it out. So then I'm just gonna let it, just keep everything at default. I'm gonna do auto for the aspect ratio, so it tries to match the image that I uploaded, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna generate. So keeping my fingers crossed, it will know what kind of car it is, and it would look like it should look, not just like a guesstimate of what it would be.
Right. I mean, you're really showing the power of like how all the apps work together too, which is
Hmm.
great. Like just being able to composite in Photoshop, or I should say, position in Photoshop, import into Firefly, maybe import back into Photoshop. Like it seems so seamless. And you haven't really even left the Photoshop app. We're still working within the Photoshop ecosystem, right?
Exactly right. We're still working within the Photoshop ecosystem. It's brand new. I used to go into the Firefly website for this, but look at this.
Mhm.
There's the car. That's the
Wow.
actual car with the
Wow.
logo. So this is exactly what that car looks like.
Yeah.
And now I can just click on open in editor and there you go. Now I'm in Photoshop again. See, there you go.
So
So now I can
fast.
continue working with my car. And again, I can click on remove background, right? It's still an editable layer. I can bring this
Mm-hmm.
back to my working document. Not an editable layer, but I can now bring this back into my working document and look at the difference. You
It's
know?
night and day.
Yeah. I can convert it into a smart object. I can, place it right there. I don't need the other layers, and I can continue compositing
Yeah.
accordingly. I can even do another harmonize run and then try to get the shadows and all that to match with this particular car.
Right. I mean, this is just so impressive, and again, showing us the long time of how much we can put into it, and all of the details, but also truly, like, even if we're needing like storyboarding some ideas, being able to just pump things like this out quickly and get these ideas out so fast, I feel like is so valuable to be able to go back to as well.
right? So the difference between rotate object and then taking rotate object as a reference and telling it exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Well, Jesus, I think this was an incredible demo. I think everyone absolutely agrees. We've learned so much today, and I really enjoyed this. I knew I was going to. I hope that everyone in the chat learned something today as well. Make sure to like the video, of course, and try this
Please.
feature out for yourself. Try out Harmonize. Try out the rotate object tool in Photoshop. Play with Firefly. There's so many possibilities that you can do. I mean, Jesus just scratched the surface. We could have worked on this for 3, 4, 5 hours if we had the opportunity and gone to the moon
Absolutely.
with this. But Jesus, do you want to let people know where we can find you if you have anything cool coming up? Obviously, maybe plug the Prompt Vault one more time for us, because
Yeah, Photoshop training channel is where you'll find everything. That's where you'll find my tutorials. I have a ton of tutorials online for Photoshop, of course. I also do a lot of training for Adobe Firefly and Lightroom. That's on the Adobe website. And Prompt Vault, my new plugin. Whenever it's available for everyone at the Adobe's marketplace, I will let you know through the Photoshop training channel. Hopefully within the week. I resubmitted the plugin again, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Awesome. Well, make sure to follow the Photoshop training channel. Make sure to follow Jesus. All those links are down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and stick around. We have another Adobe Live session coming up just in about 4 minutes. So don't sign off yet. Hang out, learn some more stuff. See you guys later.
See you.